Hello friends, we are here today to film something that is kind of like a throwback Thursday kind of thing here. I watched a video that Samantha Ravndahl that she uploaded a few days ago. And it was kind of just like using like a lot of old products that like used to be super hyped that everybody kind of forgot about, talking about the industry and all that kind of fun stuff, and it just kind of inspired me to go through my collection and pull out some stuff that doesn't really get touched anymore, but that used to be super popular. So I kind of plan to make this a thing because I do have a lot of old stuff. So there we go. Yeah, I do have a lot of old stuff, so I kind of plan to make this a thing and do this maybe like twice a month or like even every week if I have enough things to do it with, just to kind of do like a little throwback, but also encourage me, myself, and you guys as well to use things that you already have. So if that's kind of a fun concept to you, feel free to subscribe and ring the bell so you can see when I upload my next video. And don't forget to like this video and comment down below if you find it is a good time. And that's it. That's all I have for you. So we're just going to hop right in. So I have two primers here. Hangover primer from Too Faced that everybody and their mother has forgotten about. And I also have the Professional, but I only have the pearl one, which is like basically the exact same, but I don't have the original one. I have one in my kit, but I'm not going to go like take it out of there just for this. So I'm going to start with the Hangover primer, and I wonder if this is separated. It is not. Yeah. So this is just like basically a hydrating, there's chunks. Oh my god, I gotta wait. Disgusting. Okay. Well, that was awful. Okay, let's try another pump. Maybe there was just like some gunkies. Yeah, this one's fine. So basically the Hangover primer is just a really nice hydrating primer. It has like the coconut water in it, so you have that fun electrolyte benefit. It is very fragranced, but it's not like a bad primer by any means. I feel like it kind of just wound up losing its hype over time, really, because it's kind of just a glorified moisturizer. Not to say that it's bad. I've used it on clients. I have clients that have really enjoyed it. You know, I've used it and I didn't hate it or anything like that, but it also isn't necessarily like entirely geared towards what I'm looking for. And it also is silicone free, which is nice because I have had clients with like actual silicone allergies, and it's actually pretty difficult to find things that have absolutely no silicones in them to use for the complexion. For the Professional, I'm just going to take a little bit in my T-zone. I've mentioned in a previous video that just on my skin, I'm not a huge fan of Professional. I just feel like it makes me look a little bit dry, so I don't normally gravitate towards this for myself because I don't think I'm oily or porous enough to really need it, but you know, we'll pop it on here. I'll go a little bit up on my forehead. I actually do have some enlarged pores up here now from some breakouts, so yeah, and there's like still a little bit left on my hand. I only used like a tiny little baby pea, so we'll just rub that on in. Now, for foundation, I have two oldies here. I have the Hourglass Stick Foundation and the Makeup Forever HD Stick. Now, the Makeup Forever HD Stick, back in the day, you could not pry from my cold, dead hands, even if you tried. It just wasn't possible. It was my absolute favorite foundation. I've gone through like 4 of them. Like, I love it so. I loved it so much. I'm not as much of a fan of it anymore. I just find that it looks a little bit heavy on my skin. I don't typically go for that much coverage anymore, and it creases really badly in my smile lines. And same with the Hourglass. The Hourglass as well I really enjoyed, but I also do have the issue with the creasing and with it looking heavy. But both of these definitely had their moments on the interwebs here. Oh my god, did I bring a mirror? There we are. Yeah, both of these definitely had their moments. So I'm just going to do a couple stripes of each here, I guess, because we're going to kind of do this the way Taylor used to do her makeup back in the day, which was pretty heavy. I used to use like a lot of product. I would probably put on more than this back then, honestly. And I remember everybody also used to use their beauty blenders. However, I don't pay those prices anymore. So I just have my Juno sponge here that I like. I actually do have an affiliate link for the Juno sponges as well. If you guys do want 20% off, I'll leave it down below. Of course, nobody's under any obligation to use it, but that, and I feel like we used to use beauty blenders to blend these like sticks out when it's harder to blend them out with a beauty blender. I don't know why we all did that, but, you know, just to keep it authentic here. But yeah, like, looking up close, it doesn't look bad, but I also used to use way more than this. So I'll probably wind up building it up a little bit too, just to make it real. But the Makeup Forever HD stick is a very hydrating, luminous foundation stick. The Hourglass stick is also very luminous, and they're similar in the sense that they're actually both wax-based. So that's what gives them the glide that they have, and the slip. But in turns, they also don't offer like any mattifying properties or anything like that. So for an oily skin, they just really don't last. Oh, this actually looks really nice. Oh lordy. Okay, I'm not turning back into this person. I was trying to avoid putting in my headband because I just blow dried my hair and I don't want to like kink my hair, but I keep touching it. I'm sure it's very annoying to look at. I'm so pale. Ah! Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get this all into my forehead wrinkles here. If anybody's curious, I'm using the shades Shell in the Hourglass and Y225 in the Makeup Forever. Yeah, this actually doesn't look too bad, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I remember stick foundations like these two being all the rage. Like, everybody loved Makeup Forever HD stick because they like to pack on like 30 pounds of it, and it would make you look absolutely flawless because you were wearing 30 pounds of a full coverage foundation. Nice. Okay, I'm going to build it up a little bit on my cheeks because I have no self-control at all. So we're just going to add a little bit more. And we gotta get along the jawline because this is not a good color match for me right now, but, you know, for the sake of this video, this is how we're gonna look. Wow. Yeah, that actually doesn't look too bad. I feel like it doesn't look cakey or heavy anywhere. I'm pretty covered. My smile lines are already emphasized quite a bit, which is concerning. But other than that, it looks exactly how I remember it looking, which wasn't too bad. So, I mean, good thing I'm getting some use out of these because this is $52 Canadian and this is like, what, 60-something dollars Canadian? Keep in mind that I did not pay for either of those. Those were both given to me as gratis back when I worked at Sephora, but I digress. So, for color corrector, I have my Jeffree Star color corrector. Not that these are overly old, but I feel like we all just, like, forgot about the Jeffree Star concealers, or I don't know. But they definitely had, like, a brief moment, and then nobody used them ever again. I couldn't tell you why. They're not bad by any means, but they just kind of didn't really stick around for the long haul in terms of popularity. So we're just gonna do that. Yeah, there we go. Texture-wise, I found that sometimes they wouldn't work with all of my powders, which is why I stopped using them. Because sometimes they would, like, there'd be like a definitive weird line of like, it would be like congealed and everything like that, and it just like didn't look cute. So I got tired of trying to figure out like what would and wouldn't work with it and just stopped using them altogether. So that was just for simplicity's sake more so. For concealer, I have my little Nars Potted Concealer. I know Radiant Creamy was also like all the rage. It's actually still pretty popular, at least like back when I used to work at Sephora. Still a lot of people really enjoyed it, especially with how much they expanded their color range. Chef's kiss. Fantastic job. But this is like a close second. Everybody loved this as well. So I'm just going to paint it on with a brush because mine's actually almost empty because I did really, really love this. And my sponge won't really fit in there. So I'm just going to kind of paint it on and then blend it in. I'm going to do all my highlighting with it because we all like to do all that. I've seen people on the internet doing this lately. I have no idea if it's going to work out or not, but we shall see. And I'm going to do, we're doing the triangle. That good old triangle that I don't do anymore because that's way too much concealer. But we're doing it. We're doing it. If you still do the triangle, like, by all means, live your best life. I will not stop you. I just find that it's a little bit too much product for me, and I find that it looks a lot better if I don't do this, because it won't look as heavy. Okay, so let's bounce all this in now. Holy moly. This concealer I think is still really, really nice. I don't really know why I moved away from it. I think it's just more so I wanted to try like new things. This concealer has like never done me dirty by any means. I would still recommend it. I used to love selling it when I worked at Sephora, but it was just the color range in this concealer isn't as good as the color range in the Radiant Creamy. So this wouldn't always suit every client. So like sometimes I'd even have clients that wanted it, but they couldn't really find a shade, so we would have to go elsewhere, which I always found frustrating because like, just make all the colors, guys, you know? Especially with Nars, because Nars typically does have like a really good range of colors, and I'm just going to carry this up onto my eyelid because we all loved to prime with concealer before P. Louise came out and Makeup Revolution came out with all their primers that also look exactly like concealers, but they say primer. So I'm just going to carry this all over. Now this is also looking pretty good. See, my color corrector is doing that thing where it's like separating from the concealer because they're not vibing just a bit, which I kind of had a feeling would happen, so I'm not like shocked, but would I have rather it didn't happen? Yes. Woo! Okay. Now I am going to be doing powder. I'm going to bake like we all loved to bake back in the day. But I actually have something that I want to put on before that, which is also a huge throwback. Y'all remember these? The Cover FX custom enhancer drops. The amount of viral videos that these were featured in where people just painted their face with them and this, that, and the other was astronomical. So, we're gonna do it. I'm not painting my face with these, obviously. I would have had the opportunity to do that earlier. Oh, these are so old. I'm actually, though, I use like a good amount of these. Like, looking down into here, it's probably down to about there. So I did actually use like quite a bit. So, oh, how do I want to apply these? I think I'm gonna stick with the sponge to do it. But maybe I'll tap it on with my finger first so I can like place it, because I know these are like very intense and they set very quickly. But I also remember that these would like quite often separate my foundation when I would use them. Yeah, like these like stick down really fast in a very unflattering way, because I can see exactly where I placed it and it doesn't really want to blend, which is a little annoying to say the least. But they gave you that like metallic, robotic highlight, so they're still really nice and pretty. I'm not going to put these in the center of my face because I know for a fact they're going to break up the makeup there, and I'm just not here for that. But they don't look awful. I can definitely see up close that they did break up the foundation a little bit, and there's just like a little bit of texture in those areas. But also these are very, very old. Like the texture isn't the same as when I used to first own them. Like they really thickened up over time, so it could be that as well. But overall, like I'm not mad about it. Now for powder, Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. I remember when everybody used to love this, everybody wanted this, everybody would come in asking to buy it. Now, I know Laura Mercier was also a huge one. Mine, again, I have one, but it's in my kit, and I don't really want to pull it for this, so I know this is like a close second. So, I need to find a little clean spot here, cleanish at least. And I'm just gonna, my under eyes are creasing like mad. So, I'm just gonna tap that out real quick, and then dunk on into the powder. Now, this I find, especially with my skin tone right now, would darken my concealer a little bit, which is why I kind of moved away from using this under my eyes, because I like to look more highlighted, but c'est la vie. So I'm baking like how I used to bake back in the day, which was like my chin, down my nose. I used to bake my smile lines because I thought that would help them from creasing. Oh! Yeah, that's more how people do it. There we go. Wow. have like a little Fu Manchu or whatever it is. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit for a second because how could we not let that sit for a second? We had to let our bake sit, and I can actually feel my under eyes shriveling as we speak, which feels awful. But I'm gonna let this hang out for a second. I'm just gonna sit here and then I will be back. Oh, okay, I am back. This has been sitting for a little while. I'm ready to get it off my face. I'm just gonna use this brush from Alamar Cosmetics, their brightening brush. And I'm just gonna start dusting this away and kind of carrying it over to set the rest of my face as well. My under eyes look so dry, my T-zone looks so dry. And I'm just using like the excess powder that's on the brush to set my forehead. Yeah, I'll zoom you guys in so you can see. Whoop! Hello. There I am. Okay, so you guys can see I look very matte minus the drops, where you can kind of actually, now the light's down a little bit, you can see the texture that I was talking about, how they don't really want to like blend and bounce in anymore. But I look very matte, but I also look very dry, as you can see. Same with my under eyes. Under eyes look like little ball sacks. So sometimes it be like that, you know? So let's zoom back out here. So, you know? Okay, so continuing on to complexion, we're gonna finish off the face before we do the eyes. I have my Nars Laguna bronzer. I remember when everybody and their mom used to use this. I wanted this so bad. So bad, especially when I first started watching YouTube. I was like 14 and I was like, I need Nars Laguna bronzer. Like, I thought I couldn't live without it. Clearly I enjoyed it. I haven't used it in a while. Like, I don't touch it very often anymore. I've more recently been making an effort to use it. It's not like a bad product at all. Again, it's more so just that I wanted to try other stuff and kind of moved on from this, you know? Like, it doesn't look bad by any means. Bronze this forehead. It's got like a nice satin finish, you know? It wears really well. It's got a really nice tone. They also have the Casino bronzer that has a little bit more depth and has more of like a red to it. So depending on your skin tone, you've got some choices there. But they don't go too deep, so I feel like that's something that they could definitely still expand on. But like, it blends super easy. Like, there's really no complaints here. It's just that so many other newer things have come out that I feel like we've all moved away from it. Yeah, like, it looks fine. I'm gonna do my jawline and stuff too, because I feel like I look like a ghost. I'm gonna take it through the centers of my face a little bit because I just feel so pale and it's driving me bananas. It's like a little bit better. It mostly just bronzed the crap out of my nose. I'm gonna blend that out. We're bronzed. Now for blush. Do y'all remember the balm? Remember when we all couldn't stop talking about the balm? Have the in-stain blushes. I still have these. I have two other ones. I rarely ever touch these, but I still have them. So I have the color Swiss Dot, I think is the name. But there's a video, oh my god, there's a QR code back here that you can scan to watch a tutorial. I'm assuming on how to use this blush. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Oh my god, I never even noticed that. But yeah, we're gonna use this for our blush. So again, like, this is, and I barely even use this. Like, I don't know if you guys can see. This is like barely touched, you know? So I remember when these were, again, all the rage, which is why I bought it. I remember these being pigmented too, so I'm gonna be careful here. But I feel like the balm used to get a lot more hype than it does now. And again, I've never had any of their products do me wrong, you know? Like, same with like the Mary Luminizer highlighters and stuff like that. I still have that. I'm probably going to feature that in like another one of these videos. But I feel like we just don't talk about them much anymore. I know Dupe That still features their products quite often, which is like what reminds me that they exist. But other than that, like, who is the balm? You know? Where did they go? They have a lot of nice stuff that we all just forgot about. I'm gonna just do a little right on the cheeks here just to blend. There we go. Yeah, I mean, oh, I just put my fingernail on my highlighter. I feel like that's a nice little flush, you know? Like, it blended super nice. It looks fine. It didn't pick up my foundation. So why don't I use this? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's because it's old. Now for highlighters, I've been holding it this whole time. I feel like nobody talks about Becca highlighters anymore because there's a lot more options nowadays. And I feel like they just don't have the hype that they used to, and their price point, like, bites. $46 Canadian. It's pretty heavy for something else that you can get from another brand. Like, that's the cost of, like, a highlight palette from other companies, you know? So I feel like not a lot of people want to bite the bullet on the cost. So I grabbed a limited edition one. I grabbed the Rose Quartz because I figured Champagne Pop would be a little bit too dark for me right now. But again, like, I have nothing against this. It's just, I don't use it very much. This one does have like a pinky tinge to it. Just a bit. But I find Becca highlighters do look really, really nice on the skin because they don't emphasize texture. Because there's no glitters or anything like that. They're not chunky. They're a really nice highlight for textured skin or even like more mature skin if you don't want to go the cream route. So like, no complaints. It's just we all forgot about it again, you know? I think that looks nice. And plus it kind of fixed the whole issue of how the Cover FX drops were looking. It looks a lot smoother now. I think you can hear my dogs barking. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I feel like I'm actually decently happy with my complexion. I do feel really dry, like my under eyes feel like they're going through it right now. But other than that, like, I feel like everything actually looks pretty decent. We'll see how it goes as I do my eyes, so we'll zoom in now. Actually, wait, let me show you what I'm using first and then we'll zoom in. So, this is something that Sam also touched on. Old Anastasia palettes. I have the World Traveler and the Makeup by Mario. Those are the ones that I felt like grabbing. I think my World Traveler is my oldest one that I purchased from her, which, I'll show you guys the color assortment here. Focus. I remember Pink Champagne was like the tits. Like, everybody and their mom wanted Pink Champagne on their eyelids. Same with like Soft Peach and Morocco. Those warm tones for the crease. And then the Makeup by Mario palette, I actually didn't use as much as I thought I would, even though it's like really pretty. This one was also a super hyped one that like they could have kept around and it would have done really, really well. It's like a lot of really nice, beautiful, rich tones. The quality on these I feel like is definitely different. The Mario palette does seem to be of better quality, in my opinion. The World Traveler is definitely like an older formulation, but we're gonna make it work. So I'm gonna bring you guys in now. So I'm gonna start with my World Traveler palette. I think I'm just gonna take Soft Peach from it, which is like almost like my skin tone, so I don't know what it's gonna do. But I'm just gonna sauce it through the crease here, just to start shaping things out. This is a MAC 240. It's nice and huge, so it really blows the color out. Just to see what's hip and happening here. That's pretty. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to give everything a little bit of shape. Oh, I have another eyeshadow palette here too that I'm going to show you guys. It's actually just a little quad, and this, like, when I saw it, it felt like a fever dream. I was like, oh my god, yeah. Remember when everybody used to love this, but now I don't even think this brand makes makeup anymore. I think they only do brushes from what I recall, but I'm also not American, so I don't really have access to their products. Sonia Kashuk, who is she? So, I remember I was like desperate to get across the border to own this. Like, my parents needed to take me. So I'm gonna, are these labeled? No. It's literally just the Shimmering Sands eye quad. Shimmering Sands I think was the most popular one from what I remember. I'm just gonna take this color over here, whatever it is. It's like a cream with a little bit of sparkle in it, and pop that underneath my brow. Oh yeah, it's falling all over the place. I love it. This is so dusty. Like, so dusty. This is hilarious. Right, now that I have sparkles sprinkled all over the place, let's continue. I had to whip that out. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, remember? Like, so now I'm just gonna scooch over to a Morphe M504 and, oh my god, I'm going to hop into Isabel from the Makeup by Mario palette now. And we're gonna do the same thing going through the crease. So I think we're gonna keep it pretty warm today, as you can see by me putting literal oranges in my crease. I don't know how dark I want to make this or anything yet, but this is the general vibe. So we're just adding some depth, and then once the brush is kind of clean, we're just taking it out there. Now, and these are still applying really nice. I know the new Norvina palettes have like a different formula from the Anastasia palettes. I believe Norvina wanted to curate her own formula and her own texture. But like all the Anastasia shadows, like when you use them, you know they're an Anastasia shadow. They just have that really, really nice feeling because these are blending super, super easy. No problem. Okay, so I'm going to stick in the Makeup by Mario palette. I'm going to hop into the shade Violetta on a MAC 217. This is a newer MAC 217, so it's a little bit more dense. My old one is a little bit more fluffy. I just wanted to make that differentiation for you guys in case. So we're just really going to deepen up like the outer corner with this. And then whatever is left, we're just going to lightly carry in. So I'm just going to do this on the other eye. I can't get over all these little sparkles that are like all over my eyebrows now from that Sonia Kashuk eyeshadow. And I remember I used to think that was like the bomb too. I was like, this is the epitome of what a good eyeshadow is. But alas, I was very wrong. So I'm going to take a much smaller brush and I'm going to go into the shade Fudge from the World Traveler palette. Because it does look like it's a little bit deeper and richer than Violetta. But also just using it on a smaller brush will give us a little bit more concentration here. Yeah, this one's still applying really nicely as well. No issues as of yet. I'm just going to take a Morphe M441 that has like some other random residue on it from the last time I used it. And just fluff all that around. And to give it a little blend there. Oh, how fun. Oh my god, do I want to add some black? You know what? I think I do. I think I need a very small brush for this. I'm gonna use my MAC 228 with Noir from the World Traveler palette. I'm gonna give that like a good tap because I remember this being a little powdery. And I'm just packing this onto the outer corner. And I'm starting low and working my way up because you don't want this to go too far too fast. And then I've got my little MAC 221. Interesting. The black's pretty good. It's like a very true black. Just gonna sweep away. There's like a little bit of fallout, but because we baked so heavily, it's like not even gonna really stick, which I mean, I guess is a benefit of baking, but I also still feel like a dried out little clam. So again, same thing, we're starting low and then working up. And I'm blending with a clean brush. Just so you get the most control on where it's going. Okay, I'm gonna leave the crease as it is for now. Now for the lid, I've got like so many choices in front of me. I think I'm gonna start with the shade Fifth Ave from the Makeup by Mario. And then I'm gonna add a little something from the World Traveler palette on top. I'm taking Fifth Ave. I am gonna give it a spray because I can't remember if these were kind of loose or not. Yeah, so we'll give it a little spray here. And let's see. Oh, pretty. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of Muse from the Mario palette as well. Just out here to kind of fade it out a little bit. Oh, that's quite nice. All right, that's going well. That's going well. Now I'm going to hop into Metallic from the World Traveler palette, and I'm going to spritz my brush again because I remember these shimmers do need some help from this palette. And I'm going to pop that right in the center and then blend it out a little bit just to give it like a little extra pop. Okay, so I'm going to repeat everything on this eye. I'm just going to kind of speed through it for you guys for the sake of time. Lordy, what a throwback. Just taking a little bit more Fifth Ave on this eye here. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm just going to take my little Morphe M506 here with a little bit of Violetta and Fudge. I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth just to kind of blend out this outer corner. Make sure everything fades nicely. And then I'm also going to add more Noir back in along the lash line. There we go, just to add a little bit more depth. I also am going to do like actual liner, but I just want it to look a little bit smoky. There we are. Okay, lots of fallout to get rid of here. Whoa, so that's the shadow on the upper lash line done. I still have to do the lower lash line afterwards. For liner, I have the good old Kat Von D tattoo liner. Now I have the dagger liner just because I threw out all my tattoo liners because they were so old. So I think, oh, is this my old one? I brought both of them in because I couldn't tell which one was old and which one was new, honestly. This one I think looks better. Okay, so we're just gonna go along the lash line here. I'm not looking for like a wing or anything today. I just want to have everything nice and defined. There we go. Just a super, super thin line. And as you guys can see, you don't have to do it all in one fell swoop. You can do little dashes across the lash line as well to make those connections. And I actually really do like the dagger liner, especially for wings. I actually find that it does offer a lot of precision. I feel like this just kind of fell off the planet because Kat Von D kind of fell off the planet a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But also now that she's not associated with the brand, I feel like it is picking back up a little bit. So if you are looking to shop KVD now that she's no longer affiliated, I do recommend this eyeliner quite a bit. I used to sell them all the time. Chef's kiss. Okay, so let's do the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go off for mascara and for lashes. I'm going to go back in with my little Morphe M506. We're going to hop into Isabel so we get that nice warmth on the lower lash line. We're just going to smoke that out across. And one thing I also find about like baking the lower lash line, when it comes to you putting shadows down here, they just don't stick as well. Because this looks so much more pigmented on the top right away because my base wasn't fully set. Versus here, it's kind of like shearing out and not really sticking as much because it's already going on top of so much powder as well. So I'm going to stick to that brush, just dunk into Violetta and Fudge on the very tip. Continue kind of smoking all that out. And then I'm going to take a super tiny brush. I've got my little Real Techniques accent brush here. I'm going to dip the tip of it into Noir. Make sure you tap that off. And go right up against the lashes on the outer corner there. There we go. Super fun. Okay, I'm gonna do my mascara. Now, I don't have any throwback mascaras because I have not kept any, especially ones that I don't like. I know Too Faced Better Than Sex is like a huge one. I personally do not vibe with that mascara. I don't mind the waterproof version, but overall it's just not a favorite. Oh. I think my dogs are about to lose their minds, so it seems like it's a good thing that I am taking this pause, and I'll be back in just a second. So for lips, do we remember when Kylie Jenner made MAC lip liner so famous? Because I certainly do. Oh, I didn't sharpen it. I'll make it work. It's fine. It's fine. But I remember like the huge craze about this, especially because the Sephora that I worked in, our mall didn't have like a MAC store. We had a MAC counter in the Bay, but no store. And people would come into Sephora asking for this like all the time, even though Sephora doesn't carry MAC, but it was like a frequent request, or at least something similar to. And a la Kylie Jenner, I will overline my lips as well, just to pay a true ode to the trend, you know? I'm also going to fill in too, because I remember some people used to just fill in their whole lip with this and call it. I also remember that after people were doing this, 30 years later, MAC came out with a Whirl lipstick to match this, but it was too late, nobody cared. Oh. MAC is really bad for that though. MAC's like really bad for jumping on a trend like 16 years after it's already happened. So now that my lips are sufficiently dried out by this lip liner, we're gonna make it worse. Do y'all remember? So I have my Lolita 2 here. I cannot find my Lolita. I never bought like the OG Lolita, because y'all remember when it was just Lolita and then they had like a batch that was off in color and then they sold it anyway, and then they turned it into a marketing tool like a year or two later and they were like, ah, it's here, and then they were like, oh, this other one's here too. There's 3 Lolitas, because we keep making inconsistent products and selling them anyway. So this is Lolita 2. So this is supposedly the one that was like bad batch, but like, no. OG Lolita is the one that was actually the bad batch, I do believe. So we're just gonna pop this on. And now I have like no qualms with this formula by any means. Like, is it dry? Yes. Are all liquid lipsticks dry? Yes. So am I gonna hold that against this? No. That's just what you're agreeing to when you choose to wear a liquid lipstick. You're agreeing to feel dry. And of course, we're gonna leave it matte and crusty. It actually doesn't feel too bad yet, but I know that it will later. We've done it. This is the finished look. We did it. We went through all of our old stuff, put some things on our face that are quite possibly expired. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna highlight my inner corners with this awful Sonia Kashuk palette. I'm gonna wet my brush and like pray that that helps, because this is like Powder City. Oof. Big oof. Okay, that's actually really pretty. Oh, I just roasted it so hard and I'm like, actually, but at the same time, like, I shouldn't have to wet this to the point where it's basically a cream shadow for it to look nice. So my general opinion still stands, however, this does look nice. Oh, so last but not least, we have setting spray. We obviously have to lock this deliciousness in. Now, I have my Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. This is quite full. I don't tend to use this on myself for regular use because of how much alcohol is in it. I feel like it really dries out my skin. But this one was the OG and it was the most popular, and I did go through 2 of them before I realized how dry it was making my skin. So we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do this just for you guys. Whew. Got some in my mouth. Okay. So I'm going to zoom you guys in once I'm all dried off so we can take a look at my skin in terms of like the texture and the finish and everything like that. Because I do have some opinions. I'll start talking now, but around my mouth looks like really dry, and there's a lot of creasing going on. Like, it looks like it's like cracking like a sidewalk, which isn't my favorite. And my pores do look emphasized on my cheeks from the foundations. My forehead looks like okay. It looks like my forehead. That looks fine. My under eyes do still look dry. The shadow I think looks really nice. I'm like totally happy with how the eye look came out. I think that's actually probably my favorite part about this. Because the complexion is like a little bit lackluster overall. But let me zoom you guys in. Boop. So hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. So around my mouth, yeah, you guys can see. See how awful it looks? You know? It just looks like super dry and cracky and disgusting. And same with on my cheeks. I don't know if you guys can see, my pores are a little bit more emphasized than they normally would be. And my under eyes, of course, do look quite dry. But overall, scoot back out. Overall, it doesn't look awful. Like, I'll still totally leave the house like this. I feel totally fine to leave the house like this. It's not a huge deal because I'm nitpicking at very, very small things that it's just because I know how I like my face to look. But there's still products within OLDIE that I would still absolutely recommend. I have no qualms with the Kat Von D liquid lipstick or the eyeliner. I like them both as products. I think they're good for the category that they're in. I still love my Mario palette. I just don't use it very often. It's really, really pretty. This one, the World Traveler, actually pleasantly surprised me because I remember not liking it that much, which is why it doesn't look all that used. But I feel like I should probably start giving this like a second chance because maybe just my opinions or my standards have changed, but I actually really like how this went on. So maybe old me was just being a goof. Nars Laguna bronzer. I recommend. I love it. I've hit pan. You know it's good. And same with the Balm In-Stain blush. I remember this being expensive. So depending on the price, I don't know if I'd recommend this, but like it looks fine. It looks nice. It's pigmented. You know, it looks good. I'm okay with it. My foundations here, I definitely wouldn't apply as much as I did, but I was just trying to do it how I used to do it. Applied properly, these do look quite nice. They're just not for more oily skins because these cannot last. They cannot handle it. These are for like a normal, if you like being really dewy, to dry. But these still do have really, really fantastic coverage, and they definitely don't need to be baked and set the way I baked them. Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder is still a fantastic setting powder. You definitely don't need to bake with it, but if you want to set with it, this does really mattify and smooth the skin and make your makeup last all day. So of course I always do actually recommend that. I used to sell it a bunch. Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. Like, I don't think you really need this. It's expensive for what it is. This is like $50 Canadian, I do believe. And I just find them not the easiest to work with. They're not the most user-friendly. There's other ways to get a really, really nice glowy look. There's other products that do it better. So that's my opinion on that. NARS Potted Concealer. Absolutely do recommend. If you can find your shade, you should absolutely purchase it and use it. The color corrector from Jeffree Star. It looks fine. I don't know if I'll like start getting back into the habit of using it per se because I have other ones that I like better, but it's not bad. It was also a pain in the ass for me to get my hands on as a Canadian, but I digress. Becca highlighter. I think the Becca highlighter looks really nice. I'm not mad about it. Again, I just feel like this is just something that kind of got swept under the rug because there's so many other new products, but I think their highlighters are really, really nice. And if you feel like spending that much money on it, then I feel like you should go ahead and do whatever it is that you want to do. This doesn't exist anymore. So, I mean, I can only, you know, I also I don't recommend it anyway. It kind of sucks, but it doesn't exist. Whatever. And then for primer, Too Faced Hangover. This is just like a basic, nice hydrating primer. Nothing too crazy. This is really nice for smoothing if you have slightly enlarged pores and if you need a little bit of mattifying. There's also, I find though, other primers that do the same thing at the same time. So neither one of these are like a holy grail status for me. They haven't like worked their way back into my rotation, but they're not bad. And I think, did I hit everything? Oh my god, I did, I think. Yes. Fantastic. And with that, guys, hopefully you like this look. Hopefully you dig out some of your old stuff that might be expired and put it on your face too. If you do, let me know down below. I'm going to link my Instagram so you guys can also chat with me on there. And that's pretty much it. So see you guys later. Bye.